The Pittsburgh Steelers continue to sit in limbo as they await the most important decision of their offseason: whether or not veteran quarterback Aaron Rodgers will commit to joining the franchise for the 2025 NFL season. Nearly 3 months have passed since the opening of free agency, and yet the four-time NFL MVP remains unsigned, leaving the Steelers and the rest of the league wondering what his next move will be. Rodgers has not been a passive figure during this offseason saga. He was seen visiting the Steelers team facility weeks ago, sparking hope throughout the organization and fan base that a deal was imminent. He also reportedly held a private workout with new Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf, which only further fueled speculation that Rodgers was leaning toward Pittsburgh. But despite all signs pointing in that direction, Rodgers has refused to make a final commitment. According to reports, he continues to weigh retirement as a legitimate option. While some insiders have speculated that another team might make a late push to sign him, the overwhelming belief remains that his only two real choices are the Steelers or hanging up his cleats for good. And while Pittsburgh has tried to remain patient throughout this process, there is now a growing sense of urgency within the organization. Time is running out. OTAs are underway. Training camp is on the horizon. And without a starting quarterback in place, the Steelers are at risk of heading into the 2025 campaign with more questions than answers. Enter Kirk Cousins. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the Steelers have been quietly keeping an eye on Cousins for some time. While Rodgers has always been Plan A, Cousins appears to be a viable Plan B should the Rodgers situation fall through. I had some conversations with people this week that led me to believe that Cousins is at the very least on the Steelers' radar if something were to fall through on Rodgers, Fowler said during a SportsCenter appearance. There was interest earlier in the offseason. Right now, Pittsburgh might be the only hope for Cousins, or he's stuck in Atlanta. Cousins, 36, finds himself in a peculiar situation. After signing a lucrative 4-year deal with the Falcons, the expectation was that he would serve as the team's bridge quarterback while mentoring a young rookie. But few could have predicted that Atlanta would select Michael Penix Jr. with their first-round pick just months after signing Cousins. It was a move that blindsided many within the league and reportedly caught Cousins himself off guard. Now, Penix is firmly entrenched as the starter, and Cousins is left in an awkward position, both in terms of playing time and future plans. The Falcons have been reluctant to move Cousins, but it's no secret that the situation is unsustainable. Atlanta's front office may eventually have no choice but to facilitate a trade if they want to avoid a media circus or locker room distraction. And if that happens, Pittsburgh stands out as the most logical destination. The Steelers are uniquely positioned to make such a move. They have the cap space, they have the offensive infrastructure, and they have the coaching staff, particularly offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who previously worked with Cousins in Washington, familiar with his skill set. From a schematic standpoint, Cousins would be a natural fit in Smith's offense, which emphasizes play action, pre-snap motion, and efficient, rhythmic passing, all areas where Cousins has historically thrived. Still, the idea of Cousins in Pittsburgh is far from a perfect solution. The veteran quarterback is coming off what many consider the worst season of his career. In 2024, Cousins threw for 3,508 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions in just 14 games, tying for the league lead in picks. His decision-making looked shakier than usual, and he struggled under pressure in key moments. By season's end, the Falcons benched him in favor of the rookie Penix, a move that signaled a changing of the guard. There's also the issue of age and durability. At 36, Cousins is on the back end of his career, and he's coming off multiple seasons with nagging injuries. He's not a mobile quarterback, which could limit Pittsburgh's playbook. And unlike Rodgers, who despite his age is still viewed as a high-upside addition, Cousins is no longer seen as someone who can elevate an entire team on his own. But for a team like Pittsburgh, who finds themselves with few options and high stakes, Cousins could offer the stability they so desperately need. Consider the alternatives. Mason Rudolph, though serviceable, is not seen as a long-term or even short-term starting solution. Will Howard, the rookie out of Ohio State, was drafted in the 6th round and is likely viewed as a developmental project. Skylar Thompson, currently on the roster, profiles more as a backup or emergency fill-in than a legitimate Week 1 starter. The Steelers have built an offense designed to win now. They traded for Metcalf. They invested in the offensive line. They retained key pieces on defense like T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Wasting a year of that championship-caliber talent because of quarterback uncertainty would be a misstep the franchise cannot afford to make. Cousins, at the very least, can give them a floor. He's been to the playoffs. He's led offenses in both Minnesota and Washington that were consistently among the top half in passing yards and third down efficiency. He's the kind of quarterback who can manage games, get the ball to his playmakers, and avoid catastrophic mistakes when he's healthy and operating in a well-structured offense. There's also the possibility that Cousins' disappointing 2024 campaign was an outlier rather than the beginning of a steep decline. He had little time to acclimate to Atlanta's system, and the Falcons' offensive line and receiver play were inconsistent. A fresh start in Pittsburgh, under a coordinator who knows how to use him, with weapons like Metcalf, Freiermuth, and Jaylen Warren, could help Cousins recapture some of his previous form. For the Steelers, the situation may come down to a simple question: what's worse, waiting on Aaron Rodgers indefinitely or taking a calculated risk on Cousins now? Rodgers' indecision is beginning to hold the franchise hostage. Each day that passes without an answer limits the team's ability to plan, prepare, and build around a confirmed starter. If Rodgers truly intends to retire, or simply isn't sold on joining Pittsburgh, then the team must pivot before training camp arrives. Every rep, every OTA, and every practice matters, especially for a team trying to integrate new personnel and rebound from a disappointing 2024 campaign. If the Steelers believe that Cousins can be effective in their system, then pulling the trigger on a trade makes sense, provided the compensation is reasonable. Atlanta's asking price is reportedly flexible, particularly if the acquiring team agrees to absorb a significant portion of Cousins' $45 million guaranteed salary. Pittsburgh, with its available cap space and urgency at quarterback, could be willing to make that deal if the Rodgers situation doesn't resolve soon. For now, the Steelers remain in limbo. But they are quietly preparing for all scenarios. Rodgers may still choose Pittsburgh. He may also choose retirement. Cousins may remain in Atlanta. Or he may be given one final opportunity to lead a playoff-caliber team. One thing is certain: the Steelers cannot wait forever. Decisions are coming. And when they do, they'll define the 2025 season and possibly the next era of Steelers football.